We're continuing to grow our top line. We're probably expecting a 50% growth from last year. Now, there are some hiccups, of course, with the biggest one being Japan and the earthquake, but we're very excited that, post-August, that's fully recovered. Japan, our Japanese route now is profitable for the month of August. Oil price has been the other variable this year, right, because it's gone up by well over 30% from last year. So that will probably have a squeeze on margins, but it looks like that's starting to slow down a little bit, and I think that will allow us to still complete the year in a profitable position.
You fly to destinations in Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East. How concerned are you by all this talk of a meltdown in Europe? Because we had some figures from IATA that said actually it's great because the euro's so cheap that people are piling in there and they're actually seeing an increase in travel. Do you buy that, or do you think it's getting worse?
I think it would be very hard for me to see that people are going to start leaving Europe just because the euro is cheaper, or even people here racing to go over to Europe. I think demand will definitely slow down between Europe and Asia. At least for us, though, Europe is only about 10% of our exposure, so it's not major. And it does mean for us to strategically reposition our resources and efforts more towards intra-Asia travel.
Does that mean you're cutting back on London-Paris flights?
We won't be expanding London and Paris.
And definitely not adding any other routes?
No.
Right. Where are you planning to expand? Where do you want to fly to, and how many flights, how many different routes?
Japan is a big market for us. We're going to start flying to Osaka on the 30th of November. We hope to also expand beyond that with more flights to Osaka and Tokyo. So we see Japan as a big growth market, especially because of AirAsia Japan, right? Because once you've got that regional feeder network, it provides a multiplier effect to the long-haul business rather than as a standalone demand between Tokyo and Kuala Lumpur. So that's a big growth area for us. I think China is definitely another frontier as that market continues to grow, and a lot of these cities are emerging, with serving major populations well over 10 million. That's another big focus. Taiwan is a growth market for us that we'd definitely like to add capacity. And lastly, Australia.
You have a tie-up between ANA and AirAsia in terms of a low-cost carrier in Japan. Do you see that expanding to AirAsia X? And are you concerned that the market's getting quite busy? We've got Jetstar and JAL, we've got various other airlines moving into this market, and finally Japan waking up to the fact that it doesn't have to pay top yen for a seat on an aeroplane.
Absolutely. I think this is a big growth potential market for AirAsia X as well. For example, long-haul routes from Tokyo to Honolulu, to North America, to Europe, to Australia is a big market, and I think we definitely have a significant cost advantage over other players. That being said, I think there's a lot of room because the level of penetration for the low-cost market here in Japan is tiny.
You're planning a share sale, possibly KL, and considering 3 other places. Any thoughts about how close you're getting to deciding on that, and when we're going to have a listing and how much you want to raise?
The short answer is no, because we've basically put that on hold to complete this potential investment by Khazanah National, a 10% stake into AirAsia X. So that changes the whole positioning of AirAsia X going into an IPO, and also changes the timing from a cash point of view, because this will be a cash injection into the company. So with Khazanah coming in, we will then revisit where we list, how much we list, depending on now that they will become a shareholder, we'll have to take their views into consideration as well.
Assuming that they buy in with a sizable chunk, 10% or whatever, and assuming that you then move on with the listing and raise some money, what are you going to spend it on? Because you're carrying more and more passengers. Is it all going to go on getting new aircraft?
Yes. It's all about planes, because on an operating basis, we're already operating cash flow positive. So our model is just about, having a stronger balance sheet and therefore being able to support new aircraft orders and the financing for those planes.